My friend Daniel called me 3 years ago. He had just turned 30. Good job, decent salary, genuinely not stupid with money, or at least that's what he thought. And when I picked up the phone, he said something that I still think about to this day. He said, "Bro, I've been working for 8 years. 8 years. Where did all the money go?" And I didn't have a quick answer for him, because honestly, the question hit harder than it should have. 8 years of salaries. 8 years of promotions, bonuses, increments. And he had almost nothing real to show for it. No investments. No savings account worth mentioning. Just a slightly nicer phone than the one he had at 22, and a gym membership he stopped using somewhere around February of the year before. And here's the part that got me the most. He wasn't doing anything obviously wrong. He wasn't gambling. He wasn't blowing his salary on trips every month. He wasn't reckless. He was just leaking. Slowly. Quietly. Every single month. Small amounts leaving through small holes that nobody had ever pointed out to him. And the scary part is, Daniel is not unusual. Daniel is almost everyone. So that's what this video is. Not tips. Not tricks. Not some secret the rich are hiding from you. Just the real, honest explanation of why smart, hardworking people end up with nothing, and the one shift that changes the entire picture. I've spent the last 4 years studying exactly this question. Not because I'm a financial advisor or because I have some qualification on a wall. But because Daniel's question deserved a real answer. And once I found it, I realized almost nobody was explaining it the way it actually needs to be explained. So let's get into it. Let me start with 2 people. Both 22 years old. Same city. Same kind of job. Starting salary, let's say $40,000 a month. Identical starting line, identical resources, identical opportunity. Person A, let's call him Arjun, does what almost everyone around him does. He gets his salary on the first of the month, pays his rent, buys his groceries, picks up a few things he needs and honestly a few things he doesn't, and by the 3rd week he's vaguely aware that money is running low, but he's not too worried, because another paycheck is coming soon. And somewhere in the back of his mind lives this thought, this very comfortable, very dangerous thought: I'll start saving properly once I'm earning a little more. Right now it's just too tight. Person B, let's call her Mira, does one thing differently. One thing. The day her salary hits her account, before she opens any food delivery app, before she checks what's on sale anywhere, before she buys a single thing, she moves 5,000 rupees into a separate account that she barely ever looks at. That's it. That is literally the entire difference between these 2 people at age 22. 5,000 rupees. Gone from the main account before her brain even had time to form an opinion about it. Now let's fast forward 10 years. Arjun got raises, good ones. His salary is now 80,000 a month. But here's the strange thing. He still feels broke. Or at least, he still feels like there's never quite enough left over at the end of the month to do anything meaningful with. And the reason is simple once you see it. Every raise he got, his life quietly grew to absorb it. The phone got upgraded. The flat got nicer. The restaurants got a tier better. A few subscriptions got added somewhere along the way. His spending didn't spike dramatically at any one moment. It just crept up slowly and steadily, following his income like a shadow that never lets go. Every raise got swallowed before he could do anything with it. Mira, though, every time her salary went up, her automatic transfer went up with it. Not by the full amount. Just a portion. But it moved automatically, before lifestyle could catch it. She never saw the extra money. She genuinely never missed it. And at 32, Mira has 18 lakhs saved and invested. Arjun has around 60,000 in his account and a very nice television. Same city. Same starting salary. same 10 years. The only real difference was one habit, done automatically, before the brain had a chance to talk itself out of it. Now I want to explain why this actually works, because most financial content just tells you what to do without explaining the mechanism underneath. And if you don't understand the mechanism, you'll start and quit, the same way almost everyone does. Here's the truth that nobody says out loud: your brain is not designed to save money. This is not a motivation problem. This is not a character flaw. This is not about discipline or willpower or being serious enough about your future. Your brain was built tens of thousands of years ago for a very different world, a world where resources were scarce and unpredictable, and the smart move was always to use what you had right now, before it disappeared. Delay was dangerous. Spend now, survive now. That was the logic that kept humans alive for millennia, and that ancient logic is still running in your head every single day. In a modern world where every app, every advertisement, every notification, every one-click checkout page is specifically engineered by teams of very smart, very well-funded people to trigger that ancient impulse and get you to spend right now, your brain doesn't stand a fighting chance. Willpower runs out. It runs out by Thursday. It runs out after a long day at work. It runs out when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you've just had a bad meeting and your phone is showing you something you slightly want. Willpower is not a strategy. It is a resource that depletes. And the people who successfully build wealth are not people with stronger willpower. They're people who built systems that removed the decision entirely. That's exactly what Mira did. The money moved before her brain got involved. Before the want could form. Before the justification could appear. The system decided, so she didn't have to. And that one structural change is worth more than any amount of motivation or intention in the world. Now here's where the math gets genuinely exciting, because what Mira was actually doing without knowing the technical name for it, was harnessing something called compound growth. Most people hear compound interest and immediately glaze over, because nobody ever explained it in a way that felt real or urgent. So let me try. Most people think saving is linear. You put in $5,000 a month, you get out roughly what you put in, maybe a little more. Simple addition. But that is not how invested money behaves. When money is invested, in a mutual fund, in an index fund, in almost anything that grows over time, it doesn't just sit there accumulating. It earns returns. And then those returns start earning returns. And then those returns earn returns on top of returns. It's not addition. It's multiplication. And it compounds, meaning it builds on itself, faster and faster the longer you leave it alone. It starts so slowly that it genuinely feels pointless. In year 1, you barely notice anything. In year 2 and 3, the numbers are still kind of underwhelming. Most people quit somewhere in here, because it doesn't feel like it's working. But this is exactly the wrong moment to stop, because the curve is about to change shape entirely. At year 10, the numbers start looking real. At year 15 they look serious. At year 20, on the exact same 5,000 rupees a month, the number looks almost unbelievable to the person who was only ever doing the linear math in their head. This is why people who start early always win, and why it has almost nothing to do with how much they earn. It is about when they started and whether they left it alone long enough for the curve to do its thing. Time is the one ingredient in this equation you cannot earn more of, cannot buy back, and cannot shortcut. Every year you wait is a year of compounding you lose, and not just lose for that year, but lose for every year after it as well, because the curve was supposed to build on itself from that point forward. The cost of waiting 1 year is not just 1 year. It compounds in the wrong direction too. But here is the force that destroys this plan for most people before it ever gets momentum. And it's not a lack of income. It's not laziness. It's something far more subtle and honestly far more dangerous, because it doesn't feel like a mistake when it's happening. It feels like progress. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it is the reason people earning twice what they made 5 years ago still feel like they're just barely keeping up. Here is how it works. You get a raise. A real raise, maybe 8, 10, 15,000 more a month than you were making before. For about 2 weeks, you feel great. You feel like things are opening up. And then, very gradually, almost without any individual decision you could point to, your spending adjusts to meet the new number. Maybe you move to a slightly nicer place. Maybe you start ordering from better restaurants more often. Maybe a few subscriptions get added, a streaming service, a better phone plan, some convenience app you didn't have before. None of these decisions feel significant in the moment. None of them feel reckless. They feel earned. And separately, they are completely reasonable. But together, over the course of 3 months, your spending has quietly risen to meet your new income. And you are right back to the same feeling, the end of the month arriving with less than you thought there would be, and the same vague plan to start doing something more serious with money once things feel a little more settled. The raise came. The raise got absorbed. And the wealth that should have been built from it simply never appeared. If you take just one thing from this entire video, let it be this: the raise is the opportunity. The 3 weeks right after a raise arrives are the most important financial window most people will ever have, and almost everyone lets it close without doing anything with it. Because the lifestyle hasn't caught up yet. The new expenses haven't formed yet. The money is right there, available, not yet allocated. And if you move even half of it into an automated investment before the lifestyle catches up, you will be making a decision that compounds in your favor for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So here is the actual system. 3 parts, and every single one of them matters. The first thing you do is split your salary on the day it arrives. Not a week later. Not when you get around to it. The day it hits. You divide it into 3 buckets before any spending happens. 50% goes to needs, rent, groceries, transport, utilities, the non-negotiable stuff. 20% goes immediately into investments, automatically, with no manual step required from you each month. And 30% goes to wants, guilt-free, no tracking required, spend it however you like. The number that is sacred here is that 20%. Everything else can flex. That 20% does not move, does not get borrowed from, does not get temporarily redirected for something urgent. It goes. Every month. Automatically. The second thing is making that automatic transfer slightly annoying to undo. This sounds small, but it's genuinely critical. Don't keep the investment money in your regular savings account, where it's one tap away and feels accessible whenever you're short. Put it somewhere that requires a separate login, a 2-day processing window, a small inconvenience of any kind. That friction is not an accident, it's a feature. On the days your willpower is at 0, and those days will come, the mild inconvenience of accessing that money is what keeps it safe. You are engineering a small amount of resistance between your present self and your future self's money. Do not skip this part. The third thing, and this is the one that separates the people who get genuinely ahead from the people who stay on the treadmill forever: every time your salary goes up, raise your automatic transfer before your lifestyle has a chance to notice. Not by the full amount of the raise. Even half. The logic is simple: you were surviving on your old salary. You can survive on slightly less than your new one. Let the raise split between your lifestyle and your future. Do this every single time, for every single raise, across your entire working career, and the number it creates is not a small number. Let me bring it back to Daniel. After that phone call 3 years ago, I sat down with him and walked through exactly this. He wasn't in a position to invest a huge amount. He started with 3,000 rupees a month, that's it. Not a dramatic number. Not a life-changing amount on its own. But he automated it. He put it somewhere slightly out of reach. And every time he got any raise at all, even a modest one, he bumped the transfer up before his lifestyle had a chance to absorb it. Today, Daniel has more saved in the 3 years since that conversation than he did in the 8 years before it. He didn't change jobs. He didn't get some extraordinary salary jump. He didn't discover a side hustle or get lucky in the market. He changed the order in which money moved. That's the whole story. Same income, different order, completely different outcome. Here is what I want you to hold on to before you close this video. You do not need a high salary to start this. You do not need a financial advisor or a complicated strategy or a deep understanding of how markets work. You need a system that moves money automatically before your brain gets a vote. Start with whatever you can, even if it's small. Make it automatic. Make it slightly inconvenient to reverse. And every time your income goes up, catch the raise before your lifestyle does. That's the whole framework. Every piece of wealth that gets quietly built on an ordinary income comes back to some version of these same 3 moves. The version of you that starts this month is going to be in a fundamentally different position than the version of you that waits until things feel more settled, because settled never quite arrives on its own. The calendar just keeps flipping. And compounding, quietly and patiently, rewards the people who started and punishes every month the rest of us waited. Start small. Start automated. Start today.